Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good morning, excuse me. Good morning, bowling fans, and welcome to the match play session of the 2024 Missouri Masters, coming to you live from Revolution's Lanes and Fun Center in St. Joseph, Missouri. This morning we have 32 bowlers that have made it through the 3 qualifying rounds yesterday, and they will be bowling a double elimination match play bracket. Send it to me, and then I can send it out.
You're already tagged.
Okay. In our field of 32, the top 17 bowlers from yesterday's qualification rounds were automatically seeded into the match play bracket. And then another 30-some bowlers competed in the cashers round. I believe it was 38 bowlers. And out of that group, the top 15 advanced into the match play bracket. The cashers round was a new tournament, so basically you had your qualifying rounds, and that was one event that could either get you into the match play field or into the cashers round. Then after the cashers round, everybody started off with a total pinfall of 0. So they bowled 3 games, and the top 15 are here today. So it depends on how many matches someone wins or loses, how many games they have to bowl to get into the championship match, which will happen later today, but we'll be live all day long here from Revolution's Lanes. We would like to thank our sponsors, Berkey Turkey's Pro Shop. Please visit their webpage at btbowling.com. We have Miller's Tire, C&N Electric, Storm Bowling, Brunswick Bowling, JDR Electric, and the Northwest Senior Missouri Bowlers Tour. I'm Monty Smith. I'll be your host all day. Later today, I'll have a co-host, and we'll be calling the shots from Revolution's Lanes here in St. Joseph. During the competition today, there'll be some re-oils here and there. There'll be some times when we don't have match play competition, and what I'll do in those times is I'm going to get some of the bowlers that are in the field to give us an interview. One of the interviews that'll come up sometime today will be a young man named Dalton Cook who had a clean block, 30 clean, and he even converted a 4-9 split during that block, and he shot the fourth high series of the day with 648, and there were only 600 series shot in a field with 111 bowlers, and these are very talented bowlers, and for there to be but one 600 series just shows you how tough the conditions are. They're bowling on the 2022 USBC Masters pattern. It's a 40-foot pattern. The volume's 32 units and some change. The loads, gutter to gutter, are 9, which is a lot. Typically, you don't see too many tough patterns with more than 7 loads gutter to gutter, and this one has 9 loads gutter to gutter. So the bowlers have to watch their ball speed. They have to get the ball off their hand consistently, and they have to hit their target, because if you miss a little right, you're going to gutter. If you're lucky, you'll get a 3 count. If you miss a little left, you could clip the 7-pin off if you're a right-handed player. So this is a very difficult shot. It's meant to be that hard. This is not your league shot. So if you're a league bowler, recreational bowler that's joining us on the broadcast, welcome. Understand that when you go out and bowl in your league or you go out and bowl open play, the way the lanes are prepared, the oil dressing that's put on the lane is designed to help you score. This particular pattern is designed to make you execute, and if you don't execute, you might get executed. So you have to make really good shots here. The pattern changes, you have to adjust, you have to stay on top of it the entire time. We will see some good scores because these are all good bowlers, and these are bowlers that figured it out yesterday, and they'll be here with us most of the day. Some of them we will exit after a couple games, but as our field gets smaller, the bowling should get better, we would hope anyway, right? So they're still in the warm-up phase. They have a few minutes left to go, and I look forward to having you on the broadcast today, and we'll watch some great match play bowling.
Testing, testing, testing.
Okay, bowling fans, our warm-up is over. We're getting ready to begin competition. I'd like to welcome my broadcast partner, Rhonda Brown, into the booth. How are you this morning, Rhonda?
I'm doing great, Monty. How about you?
Oh, just fine, thank you. And we'll be getting underway here on our featured pair, 9 and 10. We have our tournament director who made the finals. His name is Ryan Burks. We also have Mr. Gossman. I think his first name is Bailey, if I remember from yesterday. We have C.J. Bucoilis and Victor Cortez here on 9 and 10. And Ryan's going to start us off. A little high there, Mr. Burks, but he left something you can make, and that's key. So on 7 and 8, we have Zach Rhodes, Jim Lewis. We have Mr. Stark. K. Stark's on the scoreboard. Not sure what his first name is. I think it's Kyle. And we have VJ McDaniel. I was talking to VJ before the block about his performance yesterday, and he said he had to write down in his notebook, stay aggressive, that he was just getting a little tentative. And that's absolutely right. You have to bring it on this pattern. And VJ's starting off on lane 7. Yeah, a little high there, but he can make that 3-6-10. All right, Ryan Burks covers it up in the first frame. Key here is filling frames. Scores were low, but the conditions were very difficult and very challenging. Oil pattern is 2022 Masters pattern. Pattern's 40 feet long. It's 32 units and some change. 9 units gutter to gutter. A lot of buff, about 8 feet of buff, and condition changes quickly.
I believe the ratio is 1.1 to 9, or 1.9 to 1. That means hard.
Yeah, it was right in that ratio. It's less than 2 to 1. So anytime we get into less than 2 to 1 ratio, you get into a true shot maker's pattern. All right, Mr. Lewis covers that spare to get started. Over on 11 and 12, just a little out of our camera view, we have Trey Myers. We have Dalton Cook, both St. Joseph bowlers. We have Mr. Hawkins. We don't have a first name. And we have Mr. Cosper. Bailey Gassman on lane 9.
Did you notice that Zach Rhodes started the tournament with a double?
Well, I did not. Zach is up momentarily up on lane 7, but for Zach Rhodes to start a tournament with the double is not a surprise to any viewer that knows Zach Rhodes.
Yes, former Wichita State bowler.
And he has an eagle from the USBC
He
Open Championship.
does.
When I say he has an eagle, he may have more than an eagle, but we certainly will recognize that he is one of the finest young bowlers in the world, quite frankly.
I believe he finished pretty high up last year.
Without a doubt. He finishes high up in just about everything he bowls. There you go, Mr. Trey Myers with a spare to open up his first game of match play.
Yesterday, Trey credited his good performance to staying calm, keeping his head clear, and getting the clutter to go away.
Well, and that's very important. Some of the other bowlers I spoke with said that was the mental game was very important because this pattern play is so difficult that you cannot be in a situation where you're letting negative self-talk impact what you're doing, because it's hard enough just to manage your game on this condition.
Great shot, BJ.
Mr. Bakoyas misses a makeable spare. So what we have going on here, we have 4 bowlers on a pair in this opening round of match play. The leadoff bowler is bowling a match against the leadoff bowler on the opposite lane, and the number 2 bowler is bowling a match against the number 2 bowler on the opposite lane. So here on 9 and 10, we have C.J. Bakoyas bowling match play against Ryan Burks. We have Victor Cortez bowling match play against Bailey Gossman. So right now, early in the match, anything's possible, but this is not total pinfall. This is match play, wins and losses. Victor Cortez, very nice shot for a strike. Like a lot of the bowlers in the field that saw success, he's throwing what appears to be a large core asymmetrical ball with a little surface on it to blend out that over-under reaction. So in our first match right now, Ryan Burks with 9 spare and a strike versus Bakoyas with 7 spare and then 7-2 for an open frame. So Ryan is ahead in his match, depending on count, how much. Victor Cortez has 9 spare strike. Bailey Gossman, 7 count on his opening frame. Victor Cortez has a slight lead, but it's early. Anything can happen here. And Bailey covers that 1-3-6 spare. You don't see that very often, but here on this tough shot, if you miss a little left, your ball's gonna hook a lot. Ryan got a little forward with that one, just didn't quite turn the corner. Leaves a pesky spare. It's one of those spares that you can make it. That 210 split, and you can miss it. So I think even at the highest level of play, I don't think the conversion percentage is more than 50% on that spare. But Zach Rhodes up on lane 7. Oh, and Zach gets it going a little forward as well. Is fortunate to get that 2-pin to kick out and leaving just a 10. And Ryan unable to convert. All right, so like I said, anything can happen. So our Bakoyas-Burks match is essentially a tie, but Bakoyas, if he can strike on his next shot, can certainly put the pressure on Mr. Burks. Mr. Gossman, pretty good shot, leaves the 4-pin.
Messenger was not cooperating.
No, sometimes they do not. And Zach Rhodes, ooh, little skinny jeans there, Mr. Rhodes, on that 10-pin, but it went down.
And clean through 4.
Victor Cortez with the strike on lane 10.
Nice shot, Mr. McDaniel.
Well, hope he's being a little more aggressive today, it looks like.
It does.
Ryan with a shot on lane 10. A little light, and he carries it and mixes them out.
Good job.
Mr. Burks, I think there were more pins on the deck than there were in the pit on that shot, but it's still a strike.
And Zach is back on the strike train.
Zach is doing Zach things. Bakoyas, a little left the head pin there, almost carried that Brooklyn strike. Doesn't take much.
I think he started the ball a little bit to the left.
Yeah, what I saw yesterday, it seemed that the players that were trying to play inside early. They had to, quite frankly, they had to make a better shot than the bowlers that were playing more in the track area. If you missed a little left when you were playing in, you could hook past the head pin. If you were playing the track and you missed a little left, you'd be behind the head pin. You may still be able to. Oh goodness, you can't be missing a single pin spare. I didn't see anybody with their hand up. Maybe it's a little early in the morning for that kind of thing, but
we'll see.
He's kind of laughing about it, but I'm sure he's not happy.
No.
But yeah, that inside line early, it looked as though you had to make a better shot than if you were playing the track area. Well, Jim Lewis with a decent shot there, just didn't turn up enough to kick out that 10, but should be a makeable spare if you intend to be successful today. You're going to have to cover those single pin spares.
Looks like we're having problems staying on the right side of the head pin on our first shot.
That was an interesting leave there from Bailey Gassman. He had the 1, 2, 4, 7, but it looked like a 4-pin was set back about 6 or 7 inches. Must have moved a lot of pins around on his first shot. Well, Mr. Lewis missed that 10 pin. Well, Victor Cortez misses a spare, which is...
That's unusual.
It is. He's a very solid player. I've had the occasion to cross with him a few times in other events, and he's usually one of the people that's always at the top of the leaderboard in anything he bowls.
Indeed.
Okay, over on lane 11, Dalton Cook getting ready to bowl. He's off to a little bit of a slow start for Dalton. He has 2 opens in 3 frames. Yesterday, he was the only bowler in the entire tournament to be clean for 30 frames.
Well, and he's bowling Trey Myers, who right now is clean through 3. He's showing us.
And Dalton gets a little high in the head pin with a pink widow hammer, and somehow he left the 310 and it fell out. So strike is a strike.
Well, that'll make him feel back on track.
Sometimes that's the kind of thing that loosens you up a little bit and gets you started. So
Exactly.
Dalton's fine bowler, and getting through these early matches could be a challenge. But once you're through there, I think if he settles down and just starts bowling, he could win this thing. But got to get through these first couple of matches because it's double elimination. You're still alive if you lose here, but if you lose 2 in a row, you're out of the tournament. And Zach Rhodes getting ready to step up on lane 7. Ooh, boy, Victor Cortez brought that back from the
There
dead,
you go,
and it
Victor.
topples everything down. So after missing that 10 pin, he gets a fortunate strike in the 5th frame. He needs to take advantage. Okay, our matches are starting to develop up a little bit now. So we have Ryan Burks is on a double. He has 46 in the 3rd frame, but he's on a double. So he has 66 right now in the 4th. And he has a slightly comfortable lead over CJ Bacoilis, who has 63 in the 5th frame. Let's see what Ryan does on this shot. Oh, he jams it in there, and there was a lot of traffic on the pin deck, and the 4-pin's still standing. He didn't get the kind of break that Mr. Cortez got. 4-pin's still wobbling.
I'm checking down on 5 and 6. Daryl Kaiser had 3 spares in the first 3 frame, and now he's starting to run a couple strikes.
Well, Daryl yesterday had what, Rhonda Brown? I think he had the highest series in the tournament.
I think he did. He had 714.
And 714 was the highest series out of 111 entries. And last year's Masters, I forget how many entries there were. There was a comparable number, around 100. And there was no 700 series shot last year. So they were bowling on the same pattern, so that's just how tough this is.
Exactly.
You got to field solid bowlers that probably if they bowled 2 or 3 leagues, they'd probably have at least a 700 every week, and we didn't have any. And C.J. McCoylis is making it easy here for Ryan Brown with the flag and a single pin spare. So presently, Ryan through 5 frames has a score of 95, and C.J. McCoylis has a score of 63. So Ryan's in command of this, but anything can happen here, folks, because this is so difficult. Any errant shot could result in a 3 count or a gutter on your spare. So you have to be, very focused on what you're doing. Okay, so let's go down to our anchor match here. We have Victor Cortez through 4 frames has 77, and Bailey Gossman through 4 frames has 61. And Bailey appears to be splitting it open in the 5th frame, so he's 69 through 5, and Victor has that strike, and he could really put some damage on right here if he can double up on Mr. Gossman.
Zach Rhodes just got a break. The final pin got to trip itself, I think, before the rack came down.
Well, it looks like Zach is in command of his match. Looks like Jim Lewis is in trouble here. He's not filling frames. I was talking with Jim beforehand. He was surprised he made it. His last game of qualifying yesterday, he shot 234, and that 234 was among the higher games shot in the qualifying field. And just based on how the struggle was going that last game in his qualifying block, he shoots 234, and a good number of his competitors struggled to shoot 160. So that 230, that was a big game. That was pretty much the functional equivalent of shooting 300 the last game of qualifying to make it into the field.
Indeed. Well, he just got himself a Brooklyn strike, and we tease ourselves that sometimes is the best line in the house.
Yeah, well,
So
I don't tease about it, Rhonda. I think it is the best line in the house from my experience.
So if he can fill up those last 3 frames, he might not be in such bad shape after
Anything
all.
can happen here. Oh, you get a good run of strikes going. I mean, he's only down by, what, about 20 pins? So
Exactly.
see what VJ can do here on lane 7. Well, he went Brooklyn, so pesky little 3-9. That's a tough spare to convert.
Ryan Burks is up. He only has 1 open, and his opponent has 4 opens. And we know those spares are scoring opportunities.
Billy Whaley would agree. All right. What Ryan's real good at sometimes is just jamming it in the pocket, and that's what he's trying to do. 4 pin should be makeable. Easy spare for Mr. Burks. Well, over here in the fine young bowler match between Trey Myers and Dalton Cook, we have Trey with the 4-bagger on Dalton, and Trey's clean. Dalton did manage to double a 9 spare, but Dalton's pretty far behind here against Mr. Myers, but anything can happen here. All right, Ryan covers that 4 pin and makes it dance across the pin deck and into the right-hand gutter. Oh my goodness. Victor Cortez throws a beautiful shot and stones an 8 pin, and that balanced out that shot that I'm sure he would agree was not very good earlier, where he got a strike. So as much as us bowlers like to complain about those kind of 8 pins and 9 pins, I haven't kept track. We tell ourselves it evens out over time, but I don't think it does.
Let's see what Zach does over there on lane 7. He left that 2-7-8. Not the easiest spares, but he is still clean. So let's see if he can convert.
Bailey converts the spare. Let's see here what we got here. So we got Billy Gossman, 89 through 6 frames.
Oh,
And through 6 frames, we have Victor Cortez with 116. So
Zach Rhodes did not convert.
I would have lost money on that because I'd have put a dollar on that he would have made that split.
We'd have been in the same boat.
Oh goodness. Mr. McDaniels had a similar split, a little easier, but nothing's easy on this pattern. Ryan Burks is up in the 8th frame. Burke's little light hit comes in there, gets all the pins dancing.
Oh, it looks like
Strike.
the door was open for him to come through, so let's see how it ends. Trey's strike string is gone. He left. Is that a 6-pin over there, or is that a? Might be.
Trying to see on the angle. It could be a 6-pin. I didn't see the hit. The way the pins have been moving, it could be a 10-pin that moved 4 inches off spot. But single pin spare. Trey needs to make this. Needs to make a good shot at it. And Trey puts it down. So Trey's in pretty good shape. Dalton has, well, the scoreboard's indicating a spare over Dalton's score, so I can't see it at the moment. There we go. Through 6 frames, Dalton has 103 through 6 frames. Trey has 145. So Dalton's on the strike here. Dalton needs to put up some strikes and give himself a chance, put a little pressure on Mr. Myers, and then see how that match plays out. Zach covers that 4-pin.
Oh my, over on 5 and 6, it looked like Daryl Kaiser had Brandon Leibel in a big hole. So Leibel, however, has 2 in a row and not giving up, and Kaiser just missed a single pin spare.
Well, you give Brandon Leibel an opening, and he's liable to shove you right through it. So Brandon's one of the, oh yeah, there you go.
3 in a row.
10 back for Mr. Leibel. Brandon is a PBA 50 bowler. He has recently last year, he and our proprietor won a regional doubles title. And Brandon has won the Missouri State all events, scratch all events title at least one time. And I think he's won it twice, but I know he's won it one time. And he's gone out and competed in the USBC Senior Masters at least twice. I know he's cashed once. And he came within a few pins of making the match play bracket. And he's out bowling with the big boys now, and he's learning. And I'm not going to be a bit surprised if he makes match play and makes some noise at the Senior Masters this year.
I noticed there's a breakdown on 10, and our proprietor, Jackie Menini, is back there fixing it. She's quite the mechanic.
Jackie is a Jackie of all trades, and she is not afraid to. That girl's not afraid to get her hands dirty. I'm sure she's back there doing everything she can.
Exactly.
To get things in order. So if you're just tuning in, this is the 32-player match play bracket of the 2024 Missouri Masters, being hosted at Revolution's Lanes and Fun Center on King Hill Avenue in St. Joseph, Missouri. I'm seeing a lot of good bowlers missing single pins.
I know.
We're getting a little bump here. I don't know if 11 and 12. We got no one's bowling. We got a little maybe ball jam. Got Jackie working hard on both. Brandon Leibel's up on lane 5. And he stood up out of it and left a difficult 3, 6, 9, 10 spare. I believe he got a 6 count on his strikes, so that stings a little bit. And a challenging spare to convert. Okay, what do we got going on over here on 7 and 8? So Mr. Stark finished his game with a score of 149. I'm very confident. Yeah, Zach has that. That match is over. It's just a matter of Zach completing the game. Oh, VJ. Oh, unfortunate split in the 10th frame for VJ. That's a low-scoring match, but it's a match. Jim Lewis has 95 in the 8th, and VJ has 113 in the 8th. It's possible to make this 6, 7, 10, and it's not an easy conversion. version, even if he makes an excellent shot at it. Probably 50% at best on an excellent shot at converting this. And he gets 2 out, so count's very important here. It's going to force Jim Lewis to show up in the 10th frame.
Oh my, Monty. Brandon did not convert that tough spare, but his opponent, Daryl Kaiser, did not pick up the 10-pin. So we have a 152 and 161 match. Both of them did not have set up their 10th frame very well. Anything can happen.
Well, and here on 7 and 8, in a position where, although it's been a struggle, Jim Lewis needs a mark and some count to defeat VJ McDaniel. Well, I thought he threw a pretty good shot. It went Brooklyn. He left the single pin, but here we go. Single pin spare can win this match.
Bailey Gassman is not giving up to Victor Cortez. He just had a nice strike.
Bailey bowled tough all day yesterday. He bowled more than one squad and got the seam bowl, and he just seems to go about his business. Didn't seem to get rattled by too much. Understands how hard this is, and I think Jim Lewis has converted that spare. So
He sure has.
my vision's a little blurry looking down lane at that overhead, but I'm not sure what he needs.
Well, we'll see as soon as the spare screen goes away. So 115, Jim is at 125, and VJ closed his game by 131.
Needs a 7 count to win the match. And that is not a guarantee. This is not league, people.
There you
Goes
go.
Brooklyn again for a 9 count and a win, sending VJ McDaniels to the losers bracket.
Do I recall walking into this building today and Jim saying, I want to win at least one match?
I do believe he expressed to me that he would like to win one match today.
Well, he did it.
Jim, you won your one match.
One match. Yeah, one match.
He's going to sneak out to have a smoke.
So he's on a roll now. This is a double elimination tournament
It
right
is.
now.
Oh, VJ can come back and contend. He's perfectly capable of that.
Okay, Brandon struck. First one in the 10th. Daryl Kaiser is going at a tough spare. He picked it up. So, ooh, Brandon can get to 182. And Daryl can get to 181. Brandon can put up another 2 strikes. He's got the match.
Well, as a bowler, all you can hope for is you determine your own destiny in the 10th frame.
Oh. Oh, and Brandon didn't carry it.
Well, he left that 2-pin. We saw that a lot yesterday. It seemed if a bowler just got the ball going just a little too much forward, it just would not make the turn off the back of the pattern. Oh, my goodness. Victor Cortez with a mess.
It looks like missing teeth.
It does.
Well, that was a nail biter. So Daryl, I do believe, has 180.
Well, this is going to make this Gossman-Cortez match interesting here. Victor can convert the split, but
Oh,
and
my
he does
goodness,
it. And
look
he
at
does
that.
it. That may have saved the match for him because had he opened on that, he may have only gotten 1 pin on the second ball. And it doesn't really make much difference now because Mr. Gossman missed a single pin spare.
So the outcome of Kaiser and Leibel is Daryl Kaiser 180 and Brandon Leibel 172.
Oh, my goodness.
It
So
was
that
a nail biter
It
at
was
the
a
end.
nail biter. Well, it looks like Mr. Burks is going to win his match. And Victor Cortez certainly in the driver's seat. Max score for Gossman with missing that single pin spare is now 167. And Victor Cortez has 161 with a spare, so plus count. So as long as he keeps the ball on the lane for the next 2 frames, he should be just fine.
Dalton
Ryan
Cook.
Burks. I'm sorry, Miss Brown. Ryan just threw one through the face for a strike.
Well, it happens. Looks like Caden Cook is going to put down Bo Peterson.
There's
Oh, a
excellent.
2 in the 10th for Caden.
That's an excellent shot on his second shot in the 10th frame.
The first one looked just as nice.
He's been keeping a lot of surface on that new Radical Conspiracy release. That's solid. It's not quite the name of the bowling ball, but I was talking with him about it. And yesterday, at the start of the block, I don't know what he did today, but yesterday he put 360 surface on that bowling ball. And with Caden's ball speed, I mean, this young man can bring it. And he can throw it 25 miles an hour.
Yes, he can.
And if he has 360 surface on that ball, there's got to be a lot of oil in the front part of this lane.
And with one more ball left for Ryan, he only has one open, and he's going to put down C.J. Bacoilis to the losers bracket or contenders bracket.
I think here in St. Joseph it reads losers bracket on the
Does it?
on the
We're
scoreboard.
hardcore.
We are. Looks like Trey's got his match well at hand.
So Ryan
against Dalton
advances.
Cook. We have Cosper defeating Hawkins.
Unless there's a catastrophe, it looks like Victor Cortez will advance.
I just muted. You got I got station identification.
So let's see how this goes.
Open them up, announce it when they're coming in. You got it.
Oh, I have to get up and move. I gotta be
Oh, Bailey, the 2, 8, 10, but it's just one lap ball. Victor's got this in hand, and he will advance. Victor put that a little bit right, and it just didn't recover from it. He's got a 1, 2, 10. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need it for pin count because he's already won his match. And it looks like Victor threw a tester, which is what he should do because he'd already had the match in hand. We'll have to wait and see who's coming in. Oh, we do have the scrolling scores. See, Caden Cook had a 182. Let's see what happened. We can't tell the winners and the losers because it's just giving us the first scores for the first game. We had the top 38 cashed. So last night in the cashers round, we had 6 people that got in but did not cash. As they come around again, Trey Myers had the high game at 243. Won his match. Brandon Cruz had a 205. Ryan Burks had a 203. Won his match. Jasmine Snell is coming in. She's on our pair. She is a former Nebraska standout, has been on the PWBA tour. She'll be on the featured pair this match. Looks like Eric Moore is going to be with us on the featured pair. His father beat him yesterday. The goal was not to lose to his father, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way.
Well, on that squad, everybody lost to his father because he was the squad leader. And I was come back here and see what we had. What did he shoot? He shot 614 at that time.
Yeah.
And I had occasion to interview him, and it was kind of interesting. He just bowled, and he wasn't too excited about it, and he didn't even think it was that big of a deal. He knew he shot a very good round because it's so difficult, but he just focused on filling some frames. I think he had a couple of opens, but not many, and it was just fun speaking with him and talking about how he managed to lead this. He said he never thought he'd be a squad leader with 614. I says, how many tournaments have you bowled in where you were squad leader with 614? And he said, none. So
Well, he's going to be right next to us on 7 and 8. So that's Alan Moore on 7 and 8 and Eric Moore on 9 and 10. Mr. Burks, Ryan, just announced that the players are allowed to change surfaces in between rounds.
Well, that's very interesting if you can freshen up like that, because I know a couple of the bowlers like to keep that fresh surface, and as we all know, you put a lot of surface on the ball, and after about 4 or 5 frames, that surface is not nearly as aggressive as it was.
That is correct.
So that'll be very interesting.
Monty, I have to take a break if you don't
Break
mind.
for station identification.
Exactly.
Understood.
Thank you
Just put
very
your mic
much.
on mute. Okay, bowling fans, we're waiting for the bowlers to move on to their next lane assignment for the bracket match play. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. We would like to thank Revolutions Lanes and Fun Center on King Hill Road in South St. Joseph. Proprietors Jackie and Brian Menini. They've worked very hard to put this place into shape for this tournament. The Meninis took over the bowling center about 3 years ago. They put in new lane surfaces, new synthetic lanes. They got new pin setters, a new overhead scoring system, some new tables in the settee area, and they've done a really good job bringing this bowling center, bringing it back. It's always been a popular center at this end of town, and he's making this Masters tournament a popular tournament here in the Midwest. Other sponsors we would like to thank are JDR Electric, C&M Trucking, Miller Tires, Storm Bowling, and Brunswick Bowling, Berkey Turkey's Pro Shop. Please check out their website at btbowlingsupply.com. Also, another sponsor we have is the Northwest Senior Missouri Bowlers Tour. Tournament director is Dan Schmierbach. He does an excellent job putting together a scratch tournament series for senior bowlers aged 50 and over, both men and women. It is a scratch event. They typically bowl a qualifying round of about 7 games, and they cut to a step-ladder final match play. Mr. Schmierbach has acquired a number of sponsors for the tournament. There's usually a pretty good prize fund, always a good turnout, and of side action with brackets and pot games. So if you're a tournament bowler and you're looking for some stiff competition and you're 50 years of age, come out and check out the Northwest Senior Missouri Bowlers Tour. So presently, we still have 32 bowlers in the field. The bowlers that lost their first match have moved into the losers bracket, or also known some places as a contenders bracket. In that bracket of 16, 8 bowlers will be eliminated this match. Over on the winners side, we have 16 bowlers, and 8 bowlers in that bracket will kick over to the losers bracket after this match. So right now, a little pinfall on lane 10. I think we're having a little trouble there with, looks like it might be either with a table or a distributor. We can't seem to get 10 pins to set up, and there we go. Looks like there's 10 on the deck right now, so we'll see what happens. Okay, bowlers, we are preparing to start our second round of match play here at Revolutions Lanes and Fun Center, the 2024 Missouri Masters. We're just awaiting some lane assignments. Could be a moment or two before we get started. Once I have names of the bowlers that will be on our featured pair, I certainly will share that with you. Thank you for your patience, bowling fans. We are still awaiting our tournament director to fill in the bracket match play for this upcoming round. We should be enjoying some more competition momentarily. I'm Monty Smith. In the booth with me today is Rhonda Brown. We will both be calling the action throughout the day. We expect that the match play will continue well into the afternoon. We are live. This will be recorded. You can watch it later on if you choose to. If you have any bowlers that you're following, certainly you can look them up. We're going to have more than one set of cameras up here later today. We're having a little technical difficulty with another setup, but for right now, our featured pair will be lanes 9 and 10. We will be able to see the action on 7 and 8 and 11 and 12, although not entirely within camera view, but we'll try to keep you updated on what is happening on those two pairs and those matches.
This next round will start in 5 minutes. 10:30.
Okay, 10:30, so 5-6 minutes, and we will start the next round of match play. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my microphone, and we'll take a brief break, but we'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, bowling fans, we are back live. Each bowler is going to get 2 practice balls, although it's not practice, it's a little bit of a tester. Where do I stand? Where do I throw it? So each bowler is going to get 2 balls on each lane before we start the match. This is a loser's bracket match, so whomever loses is out. So I'm Monty Smith. My broadcast partner is Rhonda Brown. And we're live at Revolutions Lanes and Fun Center in St. Joseph, Missouri with the 2024 Masters Match Play Bracket. On lanes 9 and 10, we are going to have Miss Jasmine Snell. You may recall, you may know if you're a bowling fan, that Miss Snell is an alum of Nebraska. So she came from a very fine collegiate bowling program. She has also bowled on the regional and national PWBA tour. We also have Stephen Slocum on our pair. We have our proprietor, our host, our friend, Brian Manini, who is a PBA 50 bowler. He has 5 PBA regional titles. He has a doubles title. Actually, he has 6 with his latest title, a doubles title with Brandon Leibel, who is also somewhere around here in the losers bracket. And we have Eric Moore. Eric Moore's father is on lanes 7 and 8. And also on lane 7 and 8 is Aaron Pinnock, Andrew Kenny, and Riley Patton. So in yesterday's qualifying rounds, Alan Moore shot 614 and was rather surprised to find out that he was squad leader. And I had the chance to interview him, and he said his goal was to beat his son. So at least he did that yesterday. We'll see where they end up here this morning. Over on 11 and 12, we have Brandon Leibel. We have, I believe it's Kyle Stark. We have Bo Peterson and VJ McDaniel. So right here in front of us, we have 6 exciting matches. The winner will stay alive in the tournament and have a chance to get to the championship round. And the loser will be packing their bags.
So 8 will go home this round. Also, we are bowling on a burn.
Well, that is correct. So lanes were oiled this morning. There's been 1 match, 2 matches per pair. The pattern is the 2022 USBC Masters pattern. It is a certified sport pattern. The ratio is 1.8 to 1. It's 40 feet in length, about 32 units of oil. A little bit over than that. I think it's like 32.23 or some unusual number. But a lot of oil in the front part of the lane. Loads are to the gutter 9 to 9. And for you sport bowlers out there, you know that makes this for a very difficult shot. Misses to the right, whiff the head pin. Misses to the left, whiff the head pin to the left if you're a right-handed player. And if you're a left-handed player, just the opposite, as we well know. So we're getting ready to get underway here. So on 7 and 8, it will be Pinnock versus Kenny, Patton versus Moore. And on 9 and 10, Snell versus Manini, Slocum versus Moore, 11 and 12, Leibel versus Peterson, and Stark versus McDaniel.
All the high fives and good luck have been given, and it looks like we can't see him, but Bacoilis threw the first shot.
Looked like he got on that Brooklyn side too, but hey, that's a good shot here.
We will take it. And
Andrew
another
Kenny.
one. All right, Miss Snell, what are you going to give us? In the pocket, and you leave a 10.
And there you have it. So Miss Snell made a fine shot. She bowled hard all day yesterday.
Oh, she did, all day long.
She bowled every squad and just grind. And she made it in. And she's still alive. So, well, Mr. Manini, little off the head pin there, Brian. Doesn't think a whole lot of that shot. I'm sure he'll make this spare. The key here is fill frames. Make those single pins. Get over there. My goodness.
Well, Mr. Manini does not. What am I trying to say? He does take advantage of open doors, so let's see what he can do.
Well, and he did not fool around with it. He's real good at throwing the ball straight and throwing it hard. That's exactly what he did to convert that spare. There you go. And Mr. Moore puts down that 10 pin with ease. Lane 9, first frame for Steven Slocum.
Now we have an in the pocket strike.
There we go. Excellent shot. Little light in the pocket. Good mixer. Good ball motion. Looks like he's got that formula going. Throw that big ace in, little surface. Calm down the over-under. Eric Moore doesn't find the head pin. He had the 1-2-8. He rolled the pin, knocked the head pin off the 1-2-8. I don't know if that made that spare
I don't know
any different. I mean,
And Riley Patton is saying the same thing over here with his 2-8.
this 40-foot pattern, a little bit of carry down from one match, but depending on where your ball exits the pattern, you could have a lot more friction if you're on either side of the track area where the players have been bowling. There you go. Brian carried that strike like he owns the place.
It looked like Brian was throwing his ball up 5.
Yeah, Brian, I think the better shot in here was a straighter shot, letting the ball tip off the pattern, and that certainly plays into Brian's A game.
And Eric Moore put that 2-8 down also.
Yes, he
so
did.
we are not playing around. Looks like Jasmine will have to do some re-racking here.
We're having some trouble setting 10 pins.
We're back
First
in
match
business.
play round, and looks like we're good to go.
Looks like Mr. Kinney is trying to swing it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Rhonda, I mean, what I saw here yesterday, and you were here all day too, that inside line, yes, you could play it, but I think you just had to make you had to execute a better shot to be in that part of the lane, at least this early. Once in the qualifying, it didn't break down a whole lot because they're only bowling 3 games, but once they started to transition, after that transition period, I wouldn't really call it a burn, but there was a little bit of play around the 4th arrow, but it just seems like for me, the money is going up 5, 6, 7. I think you're in much better shape there, just depending on your ball speed and your rev rate.
Well, I noticed yesterday that Zach Rhodes was having a good time with it. Again, he's a former college player from Wichita State, and he was doing real well standing very left and bringing the ball into the pocket.
And that is absolutely correct, and I think that just tells us just how good that young man is, that he can play that line and make it look that easy, because it is not that easy.
Eric Moore just shot a nice strike on lane 9.
Okay, over on 11 and 12, we've got Brandon Leibel opening up with the strike. Bo Peterson, his opponent, has an 8 count, but should be able to put down the spare. If you don't know Bo's a lefty. I've seen him bowl a lot of tournaments, and he's in just about everything he bowls.
He's quite talented.
Well, Mr. Slocum made a pretty good shot. It came up a little high in the head pin. Probably touched the finger holes a little bit. He's a little aggressive at the bottom of his swing, and talking to some bowlers yesterday that were successful. Daryl Kaiser was very successful. He said he was banging on it. He shot 714. Most of the bowlers said they had to be pretty soft at the bottom to have a consistent ball reaction.
Andrew Kinney left a washout on lane 8. His wife, Carly, right?
Carly
Carly Kinney,
Kinney.
nice left-hander. She won her match, and here Andrew's down here. I think they were the only husband-wife pair in the field.
Well, and certainly last year, Carly Kinney had made match play as well, and she stayed in it for quite a while.
She did. I remember that.
And yesterday, I believe, it was her double and 9 in the 10th frame of her final game of qualifying that eked her right into the last spot there in the match play.
She did very well.
There's a better shot
Oh,
from Miss Snell.
nice.
Throws the ball very well. Just probably a little alignment issue when she missed that 10-pin.
I'm studying her game hard here.
No, it's a
See
very
what I
solid,
can learn.
Very solid fundamental bowler is what we would expect for an alum of the great Nebraska.
Aaron Pennick got a strike, so that brings him up to 3 clean frames.
Okay, well, a clean frame around here and several of them in a row is exactly what you need to easily put your matches down. Unless every now and then somebody will put together a big game, but anything over 230 I'm considering to be a big game on this pattern.
This will be interesting to watch today if they are re-oiling after every couple matches. You always get the toughest part of the shot when the re-oil, and every time you lay it down, it plays harder.
That fresh, that really on some sport patterns, the fresh isn't so bad. This pattern, the fresh seems to really be brutal.
Dalton Cook is continuing to have some trouble with multi-pin spares. Let's see how this turns out.
Jasmine Snell got off to a slow start, open 8 spare in the third, but her opponent just opened in the third frame. So Mr. Manini has a score of 48 in frame number 3, and Miss Snell has 26 plus her count. So she could catch up and be 12 pins back of Brian.
Exactly. There's a lot of time left in this match.
Well, we've seen a lot of these matches. You really can't start evaluating the match until you're into the 7th or 8th frame, because it's just so difficult. Somebody could have a double or 3 in a row, and they could make a poor shot and end up with the 0 count or a 3 count on their strikes, and just totally erase that double or triple. Now Brandon Leibel has a double. Kyle Stark has got spare on lane 11. On lane 12, Bo Peterson, spare, and VJ McDaniel has open strike. So very competitive so far through just 2 frames on 11 and 12.
Alan Moore is having a hard time getting it to the right side of the head pin, but you know it's the best line in the house to be Brooklyn. However, he is having just a run of spares. Scoring opportunities for sure.
Billy Whaley would not care. And I recall being at a PWA tour event years ago, right when the tour first relaunched, and there was a lot of very tough patterns they were bowling on, and we had the occasion to, as bowling fans, befriend Kelly Kulick, and she saw us in the gallery, and she walked and looked right up at us and said, 9 spares, a good frame today.
Oh, she sure did. I think that was in Wichita or Lincoln.
I think it was it Topeka?
Was it?
I think it was. I think it was that
there you go.
first year in Topeka, because we had been out and she'd seen us a few times. We talked to her at the hotel, and she knew we were friends with one of the players at the time, and she let us in her little fan group circle of friends. And 9 spares, a good frame today. That was fun when she came off the approach.
I recall how excited we all were when they had the relaunch of the PWBA tour, and us especially when we saw the schedule was so close to home.
Yeah, we went to 3 tournaments that year.
We did. Riley Patton picked up the 10 pin, keeping it clean for 4
There you
frames.
go, and he's throwing a real nice plastic spare ball. And Ron and I are both coaches. We did have the honor and the pleasure and the opportunity for a few years. We worked at the same university, and we were faculty sponsors of the bowling club, and we were also the coaches. So for about 4 years, we got to coach a college club bowling team, and we got to go to a lot of tournaments. And one thing that we certainly learned from watching the college competition, because the lanes get so tough, they bowl 5-person teams, 6-game blocks on sport patterns that are lower volume than this one. And if you're not throwing a plastic ball to spare, you're not going to make a spare.
Indeed,
we are
indeed.
big proponents of having a spare ball, either hard plastic or, as I was fortunate to acquire from one of our bowling friends that's a lot older than we are, an old rubber ball made by AMF, and
Exactly.
that ball does not hook at all. Perfect, I think, for shooting a spare. Okay, back to our action. Here on 9 and 10, it looks like they're moving off the pair. They're having trouble on lane 10, so I'm not sure where they're going to.
Well, the rack is not cooperating.
Lane
with
10 was
us.
not setting pins earlier today. We bowl here regularly, and usually we don't have these kind of troubles, but they're having it today. So Murphy's Law is certainly in play. So let's go over to 7 and 8. Rhonda, can you see those scores? Because I think I need to get new glasses.
Well, I agree with that one, but let me see. I have on 7 and 8. I have right now in the fifth frame, Riley Patton is up. He's got a 69, and his opponent, Alan Moore, has 54. They both are working spares in the fourth. Aaron Pinnock opened in the fifth. He has a score of 81. And Mr. Kenny has got a spare working in the fifth frame. So we have to get this score. We have a fifth frame 81 open versus a 54 needing count, or 64 needing count in the fifth frame for Mr. Kenny. So Mr. Kenny's a little behind, but Pinnock opened, so we'll see what happens with that one.
Well, over here on 11 and 12, through three frames, Brandon Leibel opened in the third frame. Has a total of 56. His opponent, Bo Peterson, is clean through three, and assuming a strike on his spare in the third, he could have 54. So Brandon with a 2-pin lead in the third frame. And Mr. Stark left that 2-pin, and we've seen that a lot on this pattern where the ball runs just a little long, not necessarily thrown through the break point. I think what happens is they get the ball going just a little forward and it doesn't tip over. But the challenge is if you get a little more rotation on the ball and you grab it, it's going left of the head pin. So 2-pin, 9 count, spares, good frame. We'll use the Kelly Kulik roll.
Woody Hawkins just left the 4-5, one of my favorite splits. We'll see what he does with it, but he seems to have his match in hand. In the sixth frame, he has 104. I believe he's bowling Dalton
And
Cook,
he's
who has
spared.
62. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was talking over top of you. I apologize. So
Woody got that 4-5.
good conversion. All right, Mr. Stark is clean 2-3, as is Bo Peterson, and nobody else on that pair is clean. So DJ left 1-2-4-7 and just missed that head pin. He's having a tough time here. He's not getting good counts. He's not leaving easy spares. I mean, in theory, a makeable spare, but you get 6 counts on a shot like this, and you got to convert a 4-pin spare. That's risky business right there. Bo Peterson with the strike on lane 11.
Looks like Mr. Bacoilis is trying to stretch out a lead on Mr. Bailey, right, Gossman?
Bailey Gossman, correct.
Yeah, so it's like 107 to 78.
Bailey has a beautifully designed bowling jersey on, but I can't read his name.
True. It is very good looking shirt.
VJ with another 6 count. That's just tough. If you have a spare, you only get 6 on it, and then you leave something that's not easy to make on an easy shot, and on a shot like this, it's even tougher.
Alan Moore just struck in the sixth frame of his match. He's got 93 in the fifth. It's quite close because Riley Patton opened the fifth with a 95, but he just picked up a spare and he's on the spare train again.
Well, and Riley had an open and that double. So, yes, right here we got us a match between
Yes, we do.
Mr. Moore and Mr. Patton. And
So right
quite
now-
frankly, the Pinnock Kenny match is is a toss-up because there's only about, what, 10 pins, if I see it correctly?
I agree. Oh, this will be interesting because Alan Pinnock just left the 1, 2, 4, 7, and that doesn't always work out so well in this pattern.
Well, Dalton was struggling a little bit, but I know what he just threw because he got a new ball in his hand the other day, and it's that virtual energy blackout, and he just put 10 back with it. A number of bowlers were throwing that ball. I can't see what the scores are. It looks like it's a pretty close match between Dalton and his opponent. There's a few lanes down, and the angle of the screen's just tough to read. I'm not sure who he's bowling.
Well, Dalton's got 82 to Woody Hawkins 123 right now.
Well, he's in a bit of trouble, but Dalton did throw a strike.
Yes, he did.
And once he gets going, he can put down the pins.
Well, if he does well with that new ball, we'll see if we can pry it off his hand eventually.
That's always the problem when you get that new rock in your hand and it works.
Oh, no.
Well, that worked out fairly well, actually. I mean, Mr.
Alan,
Moore
yes, Alan Moore left the...
hit that
Oh,
nine loads.
That's an interesting 1-1-5, but he sent it out a little bit to the right, and it just went straight.
Well, and that's not much different than throwing a strike, but certainly demonstrates how slick it is if you miss just a little bit to the right.
Riley Patton says, I'm going to take advantage of this.
Well, and Bo Peterson put a double on Brandon Leibel, so this match is on. Brandon was in the driver's seat there for a moment. That open didn't help any. And now Bo throwing a double. That changes the complexion of that match.
It does. All right, Alan Moore picked up that 1-5 like it was a strike, so all is well. We have a match, 113 to 115.
Yeah, there we go. Mr. Patton being on a strike puts him in the driver's seat if he can throw another up on there and make it a double.
Let's see what happens with Aaron's Pinnock shot because Andrew Kinney just threw the bucket.
All right, on lane 12, Brandon Leibel answers with a strike. So could have us a good match over there. I mean, really two solid players, very experienced bowlers, going at it hard over on 11 and 12.
And Aaron Pinnock started his ball and rolled it hard and a little too left, and it hooked to the 4-pin. So he has a semi-mess, but Aaron Kinney just opened.
Boy, that bucket's a tough shot on this pattern.
Isn't it, though? It's always the question, do you throw at it with a spare ball or do you hook at it?
Well, when we ask ourselves the question, do I do something? Typically is yes, you should do it because your subconscious thought is telling you to do it. Sometimes our brain doesn't operate as quickly as it should.
And Aaron picked it up.
Yes, he did. All right, BJ McDaniels up on lane 11. Let's see if he can get something better than a 6 count on this first ball. Well, he made a ball change. Well, he got a 9 count, so that is better than a 6 count, I believe, and should be a makeable spare for Mr. McDaniels. All right, well, Riley Patton's getting ready to step up here on lane 8. He puts a double on Mr. Moore, who just left a 4, 6, 7 split on lane 7. That's going to change the complexion of this match. Oh, beautiful shot. Just a little, probably a little slow on his ball speed on that shot. He had the 4-7-9 peeking at him, and the 4-pin remains. So, makeable spare for Mr. Patton.
It looks like Woody Hawkins does have his match against Dalton in hand, but Dalton just threw a double, so he's trying to not give up.
Oh, Bo. He both kind of liked that off his hand. I don't know if he was rooting for it because it was good or he was rooting for it to lay off a little bit, and it didn't. And he's got a big old split to deal with.
He does, but Dalton's got a turkey.
Well, Dalton is an amazing young bowler, and he may be down, but he will not give up. He'll keep playing.
Good job. Good job, Dalton. Woody Hawkins handily took out that, I believe it was a 3-pin. The angle's a little hard here.
Well, we're a few lanes away, and it does get difficult to see what's going on.
Bo threw the 4-pin over to the 10-pin, but it got behind it, so that is an open frame for him.
Wouldn't have been a bit surprised if he made it, but Brandon's on a strike. Bo is at 139 through 7 frames. Brandon, with an excellent shot. The 6-pin slid over and standing
And
straight up in the
oh,
gutter.
my
If it tipped, he would have had a double. And with that, he probably would have taken the lead temporarily in this match. So right now, he's left with a makeable spare. And if he converts the spare, he'll still be down at least 3 pins.
CJ Bacoilis has won his match. There's nothing that Gaussman can do.
Mr. Bacoilis, I think I watched him miss a makeable spare a couple shots ago, so it's fortunate that he's still in the lead.
Indeed.
And kiss of death, he just missed another single pin spare.
But there's nothing. Oh,
There you go. Mr. Leibel got a little more of the air over the gutter with that 10-pin conversion than he would have liked, but it is a spare on the score sheet.
just for the record, in support of Mr. Bacoilis, he had a split, and the 10-pin was in there, but you can't see it from this your angle.
I apologize.
So
he was trying to convert a split when he flagged that single.
well, he was, but
because it wasn't a single.
right, and he wasn't going to lose this game anyway. Woody Hawkins is coming back with a ball change. Looks like he made it to his paddock.
I see a lot of good bowlers in this field that I think they don't bowl enough sport shots, because I'm seeing a lot of, I'm not going to call it a strike ball, I'm going to call it a primary ball. I see a lot of primary balls going down the lane at single pin spares.
Well, you know how we feel about that.
Spares are scoring opportunities.
And we don't
And-
risk missing them by not throwing a spare ball.
And when you're on one of these less than 2-to-1 ratio, and that's what college bowls on all the time, the bowling ball in a different part of the lane may not react as you think it's going to react. The one thing I do know about a plastic ball or a rubber ball is that it's not going to react. So line up with straight closed angles on those spares and just throw a nice firm shot, and they're down, especially the single pin spare. And Brandon Leibel with another good shot on lane 12. Just what we see on this pattern, and the ball just slows down a little bit in the second transition and just does not quite transmit the energy to the pins to strike, and you end up with a flat corner pin, and Brandon ended up with a flat 10 pin on lane 12.
Well, let's see what Bo Peterson has, because he had that split in the 7th.
Well,
So it's really 139 to 135. Let's see what he comes back with right now.
I predict 10 in the pit.
Well, I'm glad I didn't put dinner on that, because I would have lost.
If I bet 10 in the pit, I still would have lost, because it was 8 in the pit and 2 on the deck, but it was a strike nevertheless.
Exactly.
I believe Andrew Kenny just converted a washout.
I missed that one because I was trying to see what Brandon was going to do on that spare shot.
Well, he covered it up according to the scoreboard. Did not see the shot, but the scoreboard says it's down. So Brandon's got
right.
135 through 7. Bo's got 139 through 7. Bo has a strike and Brandon has a spare. So, I mean, Bo has an opportunity in the 9th frame to double up on Brandon and not necessarily put the match away, but make it difficult for Brandon to come back and win. There you go, Mr. McDaniel. 10 back.
See what happened, because Aaron Kenny just threw a resounding strike. But and he leaves the 154 score. Unfortunately, Aaron Pinnock has got a spare 161, and he just has a fill ball left, but he won the match.
Match is already
Exactly.
decided. I can't see the scores on 5 and 6.
I can tell you on 5 and 6, Bacoilis 179, and his opponent was 141. Hawkins 199 to Dalton's 190. So Dalton leaves the tournament.
We have Brandon Leibel getting up on lane 11. His 9 spare in the 8th frame. He needs to strike on this ball.
So Aaron was probably doing a tester right now, but he won his match against Mr. Kenny. Let's see.
Well,
171, 154.
Okay, well, Brandon with that 2-pin. Ball just didn't make a move until about a foot longer beyond his break point. He left that 2-pin. He should cover it, but here comes Bo. Looking good for Bo. And there it is.
Nice.
Bo doing Bo things.
Exactly.
And it looks like Mr. Leibel is going to be eliminated here momentarily, absent disaster. Okay, Raleigh Patton is up on lane 8, working on a strike. Oh, goodness.
But he does have his match in hand, and it looks like Mr. Moore will be going home.
You know, he just gets, if he stays firm, and I think just what we saw here from him, gets a little soft with his ball speed. It's through the face, but he has a great amount of entry angle, probably a perfect entry angle. If he can just get the ball a little further down the lane, and he put a number of strikes up there.
Let's hold on here, because if Alan Moore strikes, he'll have 177. Oh, we need some pins.
What does Mr. Patton need here to hang on?
Well, we have a.
Oh,
we need
well, not his best shot, but it's a spare.
exactly what we have right now.
177?
Looks like he needs 178. So we've got a 171. Oh, he's got 177 right now. We need a pin, I think.
No, he needs one of these. One pin for the win. And that's going to be good. Oh, my goodness. He didn't need it, but he certainly made a wonderful shot at that split.
So Riley Patton advances.
All right, here we go. 10th frame over on 11 and 12. Bo Peterson on a double.
Looks
good off his hand. That purple hammer and the holy cow.
split. So
A little through the break point. I think Bo would agree. He got around that one just a
am
little
I
too
looking
much.
at a 3-7?
You are looking at a 3-7, or the right-hander's equivalent of a 2-10. And very common split left on this pattern. And Bo's not pleased. Brandon Leibel,
Come on, Brandon.
10 back,
And
high
Brandon
flush.
put 10 black. Brandon is local. I like Bo too.
Oh, no, Bo's a great player, and we've enjoyed watching him bowl in tournaments. It's tough to bowl against him in tournaments because he usually wins.
Exactly.
But Bo needs to convert this, and he can shoot 207. Brandon can strike out for 204. This is a difficult conversion, so let's assume Bo gets 8-1. He's got 167, 177, 186, 195. So Brandon Leibel must strike on this ball.
He needs this shot. And then he would just need count.
Well, this is the shot right here. I don't like it. He doesn't like it, and he didn't get it. So
Well, Bo
Well-
can maybe relax.
I think Bo just needs to stay behind the foul line. He needs one pin.
And that's what he looked
That's what
for.
he did.
That spare ball is something, isn't it?
Well, spares are scoring opportunities. And here today at Revolution's Lanes and Fun Center in the match play bracket of the 2024 Missouri Masters, not only is a spare a scoring opportunity, a spare is a winning opportunity. Well, Brandon covers a spare to shoot 194 to Bo Peterson's 195. And Brandon will
That
kick himself
was-
because he controlled his destiny. And as I said earlier, the only thing a competitive bowler wants is to be able to step up into 10th frame with an opportunity to win the match.
Yes.
And he had that and just was not able to execute the shot that he needed to do.
An exciting match.
And Mr. Stark is going to easily defeat Mr. McDaniel, who did not have his best game.
But VJ doesn't give up. I know he'll
Oh.
go home and start working on things.
VJ has a notebook, and he keeps track of everything he does, and he reflects on it. And he's a well-prepared bowler. And every time I've seen him come out to an event, he always has a good attitude, and he's always supportive of his competitors. And just a great bowler, great ambassador for our sport.
Again? So Monty's got
So-
Jim Lewis next to him, and he's all happy.
But
So how'd you do?
I shot 193 that game. Was able to pull it out at the end. He was a tough opponent. He shot 186. I got lucky because he left a washout in the 9th frame, so I knew I had my chance.
So the whole goal was win one match today, and now you have won two.
Yep.
You
yep.
are
Now I go
still
against
alive.
the tournament leader.
And JR, the good thing is your prize winnings keep going up with every match that you win.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm excited about. It's the first time I ever made a tournament like this in a sports shot. This advanced this much, so I'll have fun with it. And even if I lose this game, I'll still have the losers bracket game left, so I still have a
Exactly.
chance to bring it back.
Good job.
There you go. You get some more bowling in and have some fun and learn a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you.
That was fun.
It was. Okay, well, the action we can see is concluded all the way down on 21 and 22, about 4 miles from us here, it seems.
And we have
There's-
a re-oil coming up, so
well,
it'll be a while.
Be back on the fresh, so it'll be a little bit. So please stay tuned, monitor the channel. I am Monty Smith with my partner Rhonda Brown, and we will be signing off for a little while, but we look forward to calling the action in a little while.
See
Thank
you
you for
after
tuning
bid.
in.
Bye-bye.